Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Radiant Black podcast. This is the show where we talk about Radiant Black and the Massiveverse. I'm your host, Bash, and I'm joined by my friends and fellow hosts, Charlie and Firefly. How are you guys doing?
Man, doing good. Ready for this one. I've been excited to talk about this one. Was planning on doing this earlier, but actually was in a car crash and got through a few pickles this week. So it's kind of a tough week, but we're here. Cowl back into the full swing of things. So very exciting time, and can't wait to talk about it with you guys. How are you doing, Ali?
I'm doing good. Sorry to hear about your tough week. It's been I know you told me about it, so hope it goes well.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, excited for Cowl 1964. We've all read and loved the original Cowl series. I'm not sure if we've all watched the movie, but the movie was pretty cool too. So I'm excited to get back into Cowl a little bit.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, very excited and love to see the original creative team back on the same, doing the same thing together. I mean, I guess with the update of Hassan Atsman and El Hao on the letters, which is a welcome addition. So we've got Kyle Higgins on the script along with Alex Siegel. So very exciting to see the writing pair back. And then we got Rod Rice on the artwork, including the colors. Incredible artwork, guys. Like it's the first thing that just comes to mind immediately
Yeah,
when you read this book. Yeah, and Hassan Atsman Al on the letters. So without further ado, let's talk about Cal 1964 #1. Although we want to issue a quick warning, we are going to spoil this issue and we're going to spoil the original Cal because so much of what happens in this issue connects to the original Cal in a lot of ways. Like this almost feels like a direct follow up, like a sequel.
Yes.
I imagine
yeah.
it's intended to be. So if you haven't read Cal, the original 11 issues, or Cal, this issue, make sure you go read those before continuing. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. First issue, I gotta say, one thing I really love about this book that I think they do really well is just bring you right back into it. They don't even do it with like too much text or everything. It's just a quick, they give you the first 2 pages summarizing the context, the content, and everything. And I love how we have another kind of like tentpole event in history being influential in this series, and that this time, I mean, it's more grim, but it's the assassination of Kennedy. It's going to play an important role in what happens in this series. So I thought that was cool. So yeah, just
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, that was super cool. Also one thing before we dive into it, something I loved. I was really hoping to reread Cowl this week, but kind of events were kind of led me. I wasn't able to. But no, this like the first 2 pages, same as the first Cowl. They have like the character, they have all the characters and name all those, which is awesome. But then they give the summary so far of Cowl, kind of leading into 64, and that like I just love that stuff. Like it's just so small, but I find it's super helpful, especially someone like me who wasn't like able to reread it right away. It just kind of fills in the gaps and refreshes your mind a little bit, considering it's been so long since the last Cowl. So when did Cowl end last? Do you know, Bash? Like when was the last issue? Like I have no idea when
Wasn't it? Wasn't
Kyle.
it? I'll check right now, but wasn't it 2013? If I'm
It's been a
2013.
mistaken.
Oh,
while.
holy
Yeah,
cow.
Like,
So yeah, a
like
decade
more than a
ago.
decade.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy. And like you said, it really does feel like
oh no,
a
it's 2015. 2015.
20.
That was the
Okay,
last
so yeah,
issue. Yeah,
almost a decade, but it
yeah.
really does feel like a sequel in a way where you come back into it and the characters do feel like they have evolved a little bit. They've been doing some things. But I also loved it like I was brought back into it, but and it didn't like right away like make me remember so many things from the last Cowl. Like it does kind of serve in its own self-contained story in some senses. So I think they did a killer job with this, and obviously Rod Rice. We'll get into that, but yeah, this was exciting to have this back, and I'm glad they extended it to 4 issues from 3, right? So
Yeah. Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna be
So
getting some
excited.
more of this,
It
and
makes it a nice
awesome.
hardcover. Like if they collect the whole thing, Cal and Cal
Yes,
1964 in a compendium or hardcover, it's a nice like 15 issue chunky boy. You know, like I love those kinds of stories and those kinds of collected editions. So yeah, we do get a title page, introducing the characters again with images, and then we get like a Star Wars esque text wall, setting the context and kind of giving you a summary of the important events of Cal. And then we're back into it immediately with the Gray Raven. As we see on the news, he's listening to a radio. And, a lot has changed in Chicago. Since the end of Cal, it's been a few years. And now Cal's a mainstay in terms of being a superhero labor union. And Gray Raven has some plans, but all we know that it's a big day today, and he's talking to Valerie, and he's letting her know, his convictions. He's still the same person, basically. He still has those like really strange convictions, and he's still very. He really believes what he says, kind of thing. He's determined, So we see him, doing the typical thing that Gray Raven does. Since he's hung up his boots, which is like make meetings with politicians, kind of gain some leverage. And he tells the guy about the plans to go national. So like basically they want to have Cal start now in New York and LA, and then they want to branch out everywhere else in America.
Yeah.
Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty ambitious if you ask me. And then connecting all that to the assassination of JFK was kind of crazy.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was super cool. It really expands it, like from that sequel. Like we really have more like higher stakes going on here, which is really cool to see. I was curious about you guys. We see like in the very first panel, we see that whoosh like back and forth, and we see like Henry. I guess Henry, like as we thought was Blaze Jr. We saw just kind of quickly as we find out later that's his kind of, he's super fast, so he just kind of drops off this news thing. I'm curious if we're gonna find out more about that. Maybe they're, I don't know, working together, or delivers them the news every morning, or that was just kind of cool that you're not really sure what's going on until later you find out his powers.
Yeah. So yeah, we get a nice little newspaper page where you could actually read the text in the newspaper, which I appreciated. So it sets the context even more.
Yes.
Yeah, basically explaining that Cal has become synonymous with safety and security since its inception, and more of the bullshit Warner's trying to peddle so he could push his agenda. And we see that Radia and Eclipse, right? So, yeah, Radia and Eclipse are back they're on a flight together, which makes me think they're either a couple or they're still staying in touch. Which either way is nice. I'm happy for them.
They did seem very close, very close for sure.
And Eclipse is still as colorful as ever.
Yes. Also, real quick, in the newspaper it says we get our new sidekick, like our new Teen Titans team. So that's kind of cool. To kind of excited to see what characters we'll get in there. I'm sure, obviously, Blaze Jr. or Henry. But yeah, no, that's exciting too.
Yeah, I mean, we also see the Prairie State Institute poll. So there's,
yes,
that really sets up the context even more by letting you know that opinion is divided on a lot of the issues. So it's really interesting time right now in terms of manipulating like the masses and kind of like trying to get that Cal out there as a protector. It makes me think like, I don't know if they're gonna play the angle of like in this universe maybe like Warner was part of the assassination, to kind of push his agenda. Who knows? Maybe it's just like it's just opportunity presents itself, right? Either way, really interesting events they've set up right now. And I do like how both Radia and Eclipse are reluctant to go back. Like they don't really want to be part of Cal, but they both have their own reasons.
I don't know if they don't necessarily want to be part of C.O.W.L anymore. I think they
just want to be away from.
I think
Warner.
They don't like Gray Raven or War. Yeah,
yes.
I think they don't like him for the most part.
For sure.
And honestly, the way he tries to recruit them is pretty much like matter of fact. It's not really the nicest way to recruit somebody. He's like, it's gonna happen whether you like it or not. So I would rather you be on my side than us, kind of butting heads in New York or whatever.
For sure. And he definitely did. He did Eclipse pretty dirty. Yeah. And I know, we end up seeing Skylancer later, and Grant. I think Grant Marlowe, comes back, which is kind of cool. That was a cool continuation. But yeah, Eclipse here, they're definitely pulled back into it, and they don't really have a choice. But yeah, the way they go through it is is pretty cool for sure. But yeah, the Gray Raven, he's getting more ruthless and more ruthless.
Yes.
Like he kind of, I don't know, like he's
like Amanda Waller in some ways, and
yes, yes,
it's also like
yes.
they have a
But I
lot
feel like
more
he's
like
getting
gear.
worse and worse. You know what I mean? Like before, he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
hide
I
it a little
mean,
bit more.
they have
But I think
facilities and they have money invested, and they're like publicly building, and he's like also saying like, oh, we have kids volunteering to help us, and that's
yeah,
where
yes, yeah,
yeah
that's true.
the speedster is comes from. He's actually helping them, and he's volunteering, and he says that it helps him familiarize himself with the streets and everything, but he feels like he's being a part of something bigger. And I think that's kind of that shows that Warner's plan is working, because he's getting the kids to think that they're doing something important, and then at the same time from the adults he's convincing them that this is a safety measure that they need. So I think we see that like this is how well planned Warner like it has been doing everything. It's a well planned operation, and this is just the beginning. I'm very curious to see how it's going to evolve if they branch out into the other locations, the other headquarters that they're trying to build. Especially since like I don't know, for whatever reason he said R&D like is going to start here. It's going to be in Chicago. So I'm curious to say why is that very important? But maybe it's just a thing. But yeah, this one we see the second half of the book now. That's the first half of the book. The second half of the book where we see, if you guys remember the original C.O.W.L, the problem was whether they weren't sure whether they needed C.O.W.L to proceed or to continue, because there wasn't really a need for it to exist anymore because there weren't threats of that nature. And then Warner, and these are spoilers again, but we mentioned earlier, Warner, like, he works with some shady people to create like a fake, villain kind of syndicate, but then it turns out there's also a real one. So it's like then they created the need for C.O.W.L to exist. And now it's interesting to see that in the day and age, obviously there is a need because there's a villain, and we see another Skylancer. Obviously, this isn't the original Skylancer because the original Skylancer died in C.O.W.L. So there's a new person who's under the gear, and
Yeah,
they got to say this was a
this
tense
was
scene.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like the
this
new
was super
academy.
cool.
His face
Yeah.
when he opens the door and he sees Eclipse is like just the way they drew his face there. You could see like the terror, not the terror, but like the shock.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
Breaking Bad scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was super cool because we always knew them to be. I kind of forgot about Grant and his role here, but yeah, they were I get like he was the private investigator throughout C.O.W.L, Grant Marlowe, I believe, and then he got fired from C.O.W.L at the end, and then Cadman Stone in the last issue ended up sending the mask with a little letter that said like, oh, this is how you get back at them. And then kind of we don't get to see kind of the fallout of that. So yeah, this is kind of cool. He's going against them, but yeah, this kind of makes me think that that maybe the Gray Raven fired him on purpose and is working with Cadman Stone, obviously, just to because they're working on creating more villains. So I think this was a very purposeful act by Warner here. But yeah, it's cool. It was cool seeing their dynamic because obviously, like he's a villain, but Eclipse and him are still really good friends, and he obviously understands his hatred for C.O.W.L too. So
I
he
don't
can't
think
really.
he knows though. I don't think
He
Eclipse knows that he's
he doesn't
Skyland.
know that he's
I don't think he
Skylancer.
knows. No, I don't think he knows.
No.
He never
Yeah.
mentions it. He
Oh,
never
okay,
Yeah.
mentions it.
okay, you're
He
right.
just
Yeah,
thinks like maybe he
this
looks
guy
beat
is
up
like
or
Yeah,
dead.
whatever.
you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. He hides
Yeah,
it away for.
that's why he's like reluctant, like to join C.O.W.L, because I feel like he has this like new life as a criminal.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and I would
Remember
assume that they.
he was saying like you renovated the kitchen, the rooms, remember? And it's like
Yeah,
where'd
that's
you
true.
get? He doesn't wonder where he gets all that money, and like we've seen him
Yeah,
robbing people.
that's true.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting if he join. Well, obviously he won't join C.O.W.L, but Jeffrey Warner and everyone will already know who he is behind the scenes. So I think they're just letting him run away with it, and they know like he's not someone who will hurt like a lot of people on purpose. So he's kind of just a controlled chaos for them. For C.O.W.L. But yeah, I think that's super cool. Just bringing him back in the mix and getting a new villain.
Yeah.
But yeah, this definitely sets up a lot here, and yeah, expands the story big time. It really does.
Yeah. But I love the pacing of this issue because it feels like honestly they're just continuing the series. Like in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, it feels like
Yeah,
this is just
yeah.
another issue of Cow, and I mean that
Yeah.
in a like a complimentary. Like I love that kind of way. The pacing is fantastic. It doesn't feel like overbearing like many first issues do of this nature. It feels like they really nailed down like they're really economical with the use of like dumps of information and all that kind of stuff, exposition dumps and everything. Like they were very good about that, and they didn't like do it over the top, and it flows really nicely in terms of reading it. And I really like the cliffhanger they end the issue on, because right around the Eclipse meeting, Grant at his house, and you're talking and catching up. We go back to Radia and Warner, where she tells him like, "Look, I don't care about your bullshit. The only way you get me is if you give me New York." She's like, "People there know me, they like me, they respect me. I want New York." I think obviously Radia has more plans, right? And I think this sets up an interesting dynamic in the future issues. We're going to see this like, everyone has their own kind of territory. Like, how are they going to manage that? What happens when Jeffrey and Radia butt heads? Radia is a very strong person. Like, is she, what kind of vision does she have with this whole project? I'm very excited for that because she's been pretty quiet for the most part. And then we get the biggest cliffhanger where the bartender, where they are at the bar, where Radia and Warner are talking, tells them that you might want to look at the TV. And on TV, we see that the news reporter is saying that for those of you just joining us, startling allegations have emerged tonight accusing Jeffrey Warner, the leader of C.O.W.L, of the murder of alleged mob boss Camden Stone. So if you guys remember, he did actually kill Camden, right? Like he did kill
Yes.
Camden at the end of C.O.W.L. He shot him when he shows up where Camden is like hooking up with the prostitute, and he asks her to look like Radia, which is all kinds of yeah. So Warner kills him there. So I'm very curious here. Now the whole question is like, who obviously is leaking the evidence? Is it
Yeah.
great? Is it Grant? Is it Grant? Maybe he wants revenge. He got let go. Now he's a criminal. Maybe he found out and he's the one leaking it. Is it someone else? I'm very curious. Is it a third party? Like, is it the politicians that he was trying to blackmail? You know what I mean? Like, into saying like this is gonna be happening whether you prove it or not. I don't know. It's really interesting thriller right now. I love the dynamics. Again, I love the artwork is gorgeous. The pacing was fantastic. I think it works really well. If you've not read C.O.W.L, you can pick this up and enjoy it. But I think it works so much. It's more enriched by having read C.O.W.L. So I thought this was fantastic.
Sure.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 on League, and I can't wait for the second issue. And I'm so thrilled that we're getting 4 issues. It honestly feels like, having read this first issue, I don't know if you guys feel this way. Having read this first issue, I feel like it would have been a shame if this had only been 3 issues. Like 4
Yeah.
issues feels like they could do something a lot better with that amount of space. You know what I mean? Even though again, this was very like economical in terms of how they distributed the words and how much they carried the plot forward in this issue. I thought it was excellently done. So I don't want it to be rushed in 3 issues. So
Yeah.
I'm very glad it's 4.
Yeah, 100%. No, I totally agree. I think it's exciting. Like you said too, it'll fill out a little trade better. So I think that's also a bonus. But yeah, excited to have this back and excited to keep talking about it with you guys.
I want to.
No delays on this, right? Like it's once a month. I'm
I don't think
assuming.
so. Yeah, the next
Once,
issue is slated to come out September 18. So that's
okay.
in a month and a week from today.
Isn't that the
So
same day as Radiant Black or no?
No, Radiant Black is the 9th.
Radiant Black got delayed now. It's October 11 now
Oh
for
shit.
Radiant Black, I believe, or
What?
October something. Yeah,
okay.
they said that's the last delay, and they said it's going to be exercised. 30.5 is going to be exercised now. So
I guess it'll be like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
4 pages.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
Yeah.
We know it'll be worth it.
Real quick.
Hashtag let Kyle cook. Let Kyle cook.
Before we wrap up on C.O.W.L, in the first few pages when Jeffrey's talking to somebody, like it looks like some government agent or whatever, is that Richard Nixon? Because he calls him Richard, and he looks like Nixon. He looks like a younger Nixon.
Could be.
Shit, that's a good point. Yeah, it could be.
Because we're mentioning Eisenhower, we're talking about JFK, and I'm pretty sure. Listen, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure when Eisenhower was president, Nixon was his VP or he was in his cabinet somehow. So it makes sense if they're trying to work with Eisenhower to make C.O.W.L national. So
No, it could be. You're right. It looks like it's Nixon, so it could be. That's a good question. Maybe the viewers can let us know, or maybe Kyle himself can let us know. We can just ask
Yeah,
him,
that's
but
cool.
yeah, that's a good question. That's really good. That's a great observation. Yeah, that really enriches the story even more. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so I highly recommend this series. C.O.W.L is officially now part of the Massiveverse, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't read C.O.W.L, pick that up. Those of you who have been asking us how you can get your hands on C.O.W.L, there's a reprint coming soon. When? I'll tell you in a few seconds. But I believe it's at the end. Yeah, so it says, oh, this is the 1964 trade. It says that there's a reprint coming out at the end of this month in August. I'll give you the exact date in a moment. And I believe that one collects. Yeah, so there's actually no, there's a compendium which collects the entire 11 issues and C.O.W.L 1964. So the whole 15 issues. That's coming
Shoot.
out. Yeah, that's coming out January 21st, 2025 for the
Okay.
compendium to
And that's
collect
just
all
titled
15 issues.
C.O.W.L? Is that just C.O.W.L
No, it's
Compendium?
called C.O.W.L Compendium. Yeah, C.O.W.L Compendium. So that's January 2025, and you get all 15 issues of C.O.W.L. And then we're
That's
getting,
great.
yeah, you're right. Like that's what I was thinking. And then we're getting a C.O.W.L Volume 2 and Volume 1 reprint. I'm not entirely sure when that is, but if you give me a few seconds here, I'll let you know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's August. Let's see. There we go. Yeah. Volume 2, Volume 1 of C.O.W.L is coming out. This one says, oh no, this was the old one. I don't know why I can't find this. So
You see in the back of the book, there's like that dark blue one. It says C.O.W.L Volume 1, new printing available now. And it says C.O.W.L
yeah.
Volume 2, new
Okay,
printing
now.
available fall 2024. So I think that
Okay.
one just
Yeah.
came out, or maybe came out with the release of
Yeah.
this. I'm not too sure, but yeah.
Yeah. I
Maybe
heard it's
go
the end of
grab
the month,
Volume 1.
but yeah. So that sometime in August, C.O.W.L Volume 1's coming out, and you can read the story, and then Volume 2. And I believe that collects the original 11 issue series in 2 volumes. So check that out. We highly recommend it. It is part of the Massiveverse now. And it's really one thing we were talking about recently when we were reviewing Radiant Black is we're really curious and excited to see how it's going to be integrated into the Massiveverse moving forward, and especially with this 4-issue series. Like, is there something they're setting up here that they're going to play along on in the Massiveverse, or maybe, reintroduce or something? Who knows? Either way, I'm super excited. Love this. Super high ratings from me. I can't wait for the next issue. What are you guys saying?
Definitely. I'm definitely excited to get back into C.O.W.L on its own, but I'm also very excited to see how it connects to Reading Black specifically.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to reread C.O.W.L as a whole and then kind of go back into 64. But yeah, like I said, I love kind of the refresh page at the beginning and just kind of how they ease you back into it without so much previous knowledge from before. But I just thought it was so well done as a sequel, expanding on what came before, and everything was awesome. We get our Massiveverse banner too on the cover on the side, so it
Yeah,
gets to match with all our books too, which is cool.
yeah. Love the first A cover, but the B cover is something gorgeous. The B cover
Yes, you
right
guys both
there,
got
Radia.
this. You guys both
And
got
Kelly
this.
McMahon. Yeah, I did get this. Yeah, love this cover. I got both, but this is,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I prefer this cover. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
So
this
yeah,
one's sweet.
if you guys have it, and there were no ratios, it was just this one. So I don't think there were even many. Like, it was pretty under ordered, I would say, the cover at least. So if you got it, chances are it's not that easy to find. So very happy with that. And gorgeous cover. I hope they can make a print or poster one day or something. We'll definitely get one. But I need the medallion.
We
I,
need
I want.
we need a Kelly McMahon poster of some
Yeah,
sort, like
Yes. Yes.
definitely.
man.
Especially if it's Massiveverse related. And then
Yes,
here's the
of
next
course.
issue information. As you can see, September 18 is the slated release date for now. Here's the cover A. Let's see, do we got a cover B? Ooh, another Kelly cover, but it hasn't been revealed yet.
Shall see.
Okay.
Something to
Yeah,
look
I'm very
forward
Cool.
to.
excited. And then issue
Cool.
3 is for October 30th. And another Kelly cover. So Kelly,
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna
assuming, is doing a cover for each
say
issue,
every.
probably.
Oh, that's cool. That's a sweet
Oh,
cover there. That's a sweet cover A. That's probably my favorite cover A
yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And there's a new
good.
character called Wraith, apparently. All right, guys. Lots to look forward to over the next 2 issues of
Love it.
C.O.W.L. I'm so happy that we're getting a 4th issue. And yeah, that's pretty much it for C.O.W.L 1964. Join us soon as we're going to release a review of Midlife #1, a Image comic book done by Massiveverse alumni Brian Buccellato and Stefano Simeone. And we're also going to be reviewing No One sometime soon, and we're going to be joined by a special guest. If you're in the Radiant Black Discord, if you're part of the community, you know this guest. He's one of the most knowledgeable, if not the most knowledgeable individual in the No One spheres in the world. So I'm very excited for that conversation. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you then. Stay radiant, ladies and gentlemen.